All right, hi guys, Alysha here again. So today we are going to be making a Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone movie munchie. We will be making some Butterbeer, delicious, and some acid pops. So we'll start with the Butterbeer first because that actually needs to refreeze. What you'll need is you'll need your ice cream, some butter, cream soda that will come in at a later point, and some cinnamon, some nutmeg, and some ground cloves. Okay, now here's the trick. The butter needs to be room temperature. Mine is not. So what I'm going to do is stick it in the microwave, not to melt it, but if you just do it for like 5 or 10 seconds, just to get it soft and normal temperature, not so it's a liquid puddle. It should still have its form. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And my ice cream needs to be softened as well, so I'll put that in for 10 seconds as well. That's just something easy and quick you can do when you didn't have 2 hours to let it get room temperature. All right, so as you can see, it just melted a little at the bottom. That's fine. It's still practically room temperature. Still kept its shape pretty well, and as you can see, the top did not like melty at all. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to take our ice cream, which is nice and soft, and you're just going to pour it right in a big bowl. Well, if it decides to leave its canister, you're going to pour it into the big bowl. I guess I'll just help it along. Okay. Wow, and look how clean that came out. Barely had to scrape anything. Okay, then you're going to add the butter. And then your spices and your sugar. And then we are just going to mix this all together. Okay, now make sure when you're cleaning up the kitchen, just go ahead and keep your pint container or whatever container you got the ice cream out of, as long as it's empty. You don't want to mix it with the other vanilla. But as long as it's empty, go ahead and keep it, because once you get it mixed, and try and pay attention to the butter, because look, it's still got some chunks in there, and the last thing you want when you're drinking your Butterbeer is to get a big old chunk of butter. So make sure it's fully mixed. Try and get it as smooth as possible. Okay, because sometimes the brown sugar can clump up as well, and you don't want that. So don't be afraid to like smush it down. Ooh, and I have to say, it smells delicious. I think it's like that nutmeg smell that really reminds you of like apple pie. Okay, I think this is pretty well mixed. I'm not seeing any more clumps of butter, at least. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the canister, the ice cream canister, and I'm going to dump it back in here so I can put it in the freezer. All right. If you don't have this canister because you already threw it away or because you didn't use all of the big ice cream, don't worry, just put it in like a microwave safe bowl, something plastic, preferably not glass, just in case you drop it. Or if you're like me, I'm always knocking things out of my freezer for some reason, and you don't want it to shatter. All right, so we're gonna pour all this in here. And then we are going to refreeze it, which should take a couple of hours. So this can be a good after movie drink, after you've sated your Harry Potter obsession for the moment. Or you can just make it like 2 hours ahead of time. All right, put the lid back on it and refreeze it. Okay guys, so the second half of this, which is the acid pops, you need your honey, your Dum-Dums or whichever popsicle or lollipop of your choice. I chose Dum-Dums because I did not think that Tootsie Pops would go good with this, with that Tootsie Center. I'm not sure how that would work. And the recipe online calls for Pop Rocks. I personally don't like Pop Rocks, and I think for the acid, Warheads provide just the perfect amount of acid for you. Okay, so you're gonna need that, a small sandwich bag, of course your parchment paper, a bowl, and something to put the lollipops on so they can stand up. So something tall. It doesn't have to be this. You could probably use a shallow bowl or baking dish, or maybe even a cup that's smaller. Okay, so what you're going to do is go ahead and unwrap your lollipops like I have done here, just because unwrapping them takes so much time later. Okay, and you want to do this while your honey is hot because it needs to be thin. So then you will pour your honey into a microwave safe bowl, of course. Go ahead and make sure you put all of it in there. And then you're going to microwave it. Like I said, you want it thin. So go ahead and do it like we've said this entire time, 15-second increments. And just wait until it gets thin enough. Trust me, it gets very runny, almost a syrupy consistence. That's what you're going for, okay? Okay guys, so after I microwaved my honey, you can see it's definitely more watery than a syrupy consistency, so I'm gonna let that cool down. I went 15 seconds too much, okay? But in the meantime, go ahead and unwrap some of your Warheads and put them in a plastic bag, a Ziploc bag. Then you're going to take something hard, or at least thick, not breakable, not easily breakable, okay? You could take a hammer to it, that's fine. Just make sure you do it on the ground and not on a kitchen table or a countertop, okay? So what we're going to do is smash these up. You want these little bits and pieces that will nicely coat the lollipop. So right here, look, not a lot of force, pretty easy. But it has a thick base, so make sure you don't use that dainty little teacup. But if you're using Pop Rocks, of course, you won't have to go through this step. Your rocks are already popped. There, like that, almost like a fine dust, a Warhead dust. Okay, so yeah, my honey is pretty decent right now. So what I will do is take one of my lollipops. Oh, before that though, go ahead and put some parchment paper down. I do not recommend using your cooking spray for this one, just because that is a nasty recipe you do not want anyway. Okay, go ahead, you can just take a little slip, put it in the center. Make sure you line it up pretty close to the edge at least, so it'll catch any drippings that come off. Then you will take your lollipop, go ahead and unzip that. Just roll it in here. Make sure it's nice and coated. Okay, still dripping. With your other hand, go ahead and just dip it all the way to the bottom. And coat it, coat it, coat it, coat it. You can go ahead and roll it in there. All right, I think that's fairly coated. Then you're gonna put it down in your pan like so, or at least not drop it like I just did, but like that, just so anything that falls will be coated to the bottom of the pan, because the honey can be sticky. That honey will give you a nice contrast to that very sour Warhead. So, and then of course Dum-Dums are delicious in their own right. So it's overall a nice taste. Okay, and in the meantime, while you're doing that, your ice cream should be refreezing, and then we'll come back and I can show you how we put together that Butterbeer in the final step. So here we are with our more frozen, at least, ice cream. You can wait till yours freezes back all the way, but mine's nice and mushy, and I kind of like it that way. So there, you're just going to put some in a glass, like so. And don't worry, you're gonna pour soda on top of it, so it's gonna be like almost a root beer float. There. And then you take your green soda and you'll just pour it over the top. Now you can heat this up if you want this warm. Just make sure you still have carbonation in the cream soda. So if you're gonna do it over the stove, only heat it for like 3 minutes over the stove, not boiling. You still want the carbonation. That's the bubbles, like I said. You can also do it in the microwave, 15-second increments, just until it's warm and hot. And then there you are. Got that nice foamy top. Just stir it around a bit. Alrighty, and there you are. Here is your butterbeer to go just perfectly with your movie or book.